Hello and welcome to another 1 hour 90 minutes of Elm programming. I'm going to continue to work on my Twitch overlay. Last week I successfully added persisting the messages so that when I refresh here these messages stay. I mean, that's not a real message, I guess. Oh no, actually I think that was. Let's see if I sent another message here. Beep, 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 beep. And the only thing I'm missing, I'd like to hear the audio. I don't know why I don't hear the audio. There we go. Nice. If I refresh, then the messages stay there. So that's the achievement of last week, and I brainstormed a bit before I started the stream today what I would like to work on, and there's so many ideas that I would like to add to this stream overlay, or yeah, it's so one thing I really like to have is like a start screen, which is like just a complete overlay that I can run 5 or 10 minutes before I actually start doing stuff on the stream, because I'd just like to start my stream a few minutes earlier to get this push notification out to my countless subscribers. So just in case they forgot to tune in, they have a few minutes to set up their streaming, watching setup, whatever that might be, with a little countdown, something like this. So I think that's the first thing I'm going to work on tonight, and if I still have time left in the end, I will probably work on something that I can like blend in a little timeline or a to-do list, so that I can just give people a heads up what I'm going to work on for the rest of the session, what I've already worked at, and yeah, some other ideas that I probably won't get today is I still have a launch pad that's a MIDI controller with like lighting up buttons. So I would like to kind of set this up as a control just next to me to be able to trigger one of those overlays, like switch to the countdown, or blend in the timeline, or bring in the chat again manually, not having to wait for a chat message to come in. But yeah, that's going to be a bit more complex, because I think you cannot access a MIDI device from the browser directly. I saw there's some RC thing going on to eventually get this, but I probably at that point I have to bring in a server component, and once I do that, there are a lot of other nice things I can do, like showing the commits that I did during an episode, for example, stuff like this, and bring that into the overlay as well. So I probably won't run out of ideas in the near future. But yeah, for today, let's just have a look at creating basically a different state of our application, where I just have the overlay showing completely. So yeah, maybe we start out with that right away. So I probably want to look into my model state currently that holds the list of messages, and a boolean that decides whether to show the messages or not, or have them faded in or translated in, whatever you want to call that. So I think I'm just going to tune down that music a bit more. So yeah, or maybe we start out with a view. Yeah, maybe we start out with a view. Let's see, let's go down here, view, and just comment out the old view with the messages. Or maybe we just incorporate this. Do we want to show the chat messages on top of the overlay? I'm undecided. Maybe for the time being, I'm just commenting them out. Block comments with this Haskell-like hyphen squiggly bracket notation. So let's bring in a new div. Give it a class name like countdown, maybe countdown. And for now, we just put a text in there with, I don't know, some number string here. So if we refresh that on the, oh, we can just, I will just look here on my screen. So refresh this. There's our, what's supposed to look like a timestamp or countdown thingy. So that's ugly, but principally what I was going for. So maybe we do some styling first. Where are my styles? Source? No, it's not here. It's in the HTML directly, I guess. Here we go. Cool. So let's add the new class. Countdown. Maybe we just make this a flex, then it's a bit easier to center. Display flex. Justify content. No. Content. Center. Align. Items. Also center. Width 100%, height 100%. Then we probably want to wrap this in another div, I guess. Div. Oh, and there's a message. Demolition Man says hello, loving it. It's the first time that I actually see somebody and see somebody shortly after they type the chat message. Welcome. CSS, yes. CSS is like not what I'm focusing on, but it's a necessary evil to get shit done, I guess. So currently I'm just trying to center a little text here in on the screen to become eventually the countdown for my stream before I start the actual show. So I messed up the brackets here, so I have a div and probably just a missing closing bracket here. Now it's compiling again. Let's save everything, refresh. Okay, cool. So it's in the center in the middle, so that's not too bad. Why is the other thing? Because countdown is not full height. Okay, maybe we just set it to 100 view height, and then I don't have to care about the... So that's better. That looks like something. Yeah, SCSS is great. Like I really love, like especially the ZES notation. Like Demolition Man just mentioned SCSS to check out for advanced CSS styling. It was part of the Rails asset pipeline at some point, but they got rid of it. But otherwise, I love it. It's just for my scrappy projects like this. It's that then you have to have another process watching the CSS, which is not bad. Like this is great. It comes with a command line too, where you can just watch it to watch your CSS for changes. So in general, I really like working with CSS. So for now, I'm just sticking with the plain. But I really like CSS, especially if you have more complex nesting, like these expressions. It's like really nice that you can see SCSS, especially the ZAS notation, and you can similar how Elm is white space sensitive, and in this SASS notation of ZAS, then you can really nest these things in your files as well. So I might actually switch to that at some point if this Twitch overlay thing comes sufficiently serious. Cool, so now we have our centered number. That's great. So if I can refresh this on my streaming computer, and then we should see it, or we don't. yeah, on the right side, like that's the Elm programming language. That's basically the purpose of this Twitch stream. So that's currently my favorite pet language. If you haven't seen it, that's the homepage of the language, and it's a very functional programming language that compiles to JavaScript, and I really like the programming model. So I'll continue working on the right side of the screen a bit. No worries. Okay, so we fixed our CSS here. I don't know why it's not working on my streaming computer yet, but that's something that I can figure out later on. So for now, we just have a static, what looks like a static website with this string in the center. And now, I don't know, I think I'm going to introduce a new state for my application model here. So let's call it, I don't know, screen maybe, of a new type screen that I'm going to introduce as well. So let's say type screen is either countdown or I don't know, Windows maybe. I don't know what to call the rest yet. So this should compile. If we scroll here, oh, it does not compile because the compiler tells us that where we actually initialize the model, we are missing this new field. So let's fix this. Which line was it? Here around line 25. Let's go there. That's where we initialize our init function is supposed to return a tuple of a value of type model and a command message. So what's here between the squiggly brackets is our model, and we added a field to it. So we in our type declaration down here. So now we have to add this new field here as well. Screen equals let's say countdown right away. So this way we can. Let's just see if this compiles again. So compiler is happy, that's good. And now we can go all the way down to our view function where I commented out the previous screen or page or whatever you want to call it, where we actually see the messages on the screen. So now I can do a case expression here, and we can grab this new screen field from our model. I can also add the type annotation here for the function just to make it clearer what that actually does. It receives a model. Yeah, because like all demolition men ask why I'm not using JS. It's a personal preference at the end of the day, but I just like the language a lot more because you have this compiler that gives you error messages when you're doing something wrong, and you just don't have that with JavaScript. With JavaScript, you solely have to rely on the browser you giving error messages, and these error messages are, in my experience, straight out not very human friendly. It's usually something down undefined, doesn't exist, and then you have to figure it out why that's the case. And with Elm, you express your intentions through types like the ones that I just declared. And if you don't use the objects of this type correctly, then you have a compiler which gives you these very friendly error messages, which of course take it a bit time to be able to read them. But like I've programmed in a lot of programming languages before, not only JavaScript, Ruby, C, C++, Java, and all these languages are optimized to tell why the computer cannot execute in command, and not so much why something like it's the Elm error messages are much more human focused, I feel, than the error messages in other languages. So now let me just complete here the type annotation here, HTML message, I believe. Is this correct? And then I should stop doing this one here. Yeah. How does Elm work? Yeah. Well, I've actually I've been streaming for a while now. Well, it compiles to JS. So the browser is still executing JS, but this command here, that's I'm just having a file watcher here that's ultimately executing this command, which compiles the main Elm file that I'm editing here. It compiles it to a Elm.js file, and that's what's executed by the browser. All right. Case screen off, countdown. Yeah, it's a bit like TypeScript, I would say. Like TypeScript, although that's not entirely true because TypeScript is still have JavaScript, but yeah, it's a bit like that. Windows, and here we can just bring back our old markup that we are creating with those functions. So, oops, here's a equal sign that should be a hyphen. Did I save that? That compiled again, so here it should still look the same, but now if we are switching back to our initialization function and say instead of screen it's Windows, then we should see just then we should see the chat again. So that's great. Okay, let's make the actual countdown work. I think that's something worth tackling because it's also a bit unorthodox, especially when you come from the JavaScript world. So let's look at the packages, Elm packages for time. Okay, so what the effect that I want to achieve is basically that when I start showing my screen, or that I can just specify a time on my machine that it's supposed to count down to. And I honestly, have never done this, so I'm not entirely sure how to do this in Elm, but we can just we cannot be the first people to wanting to do this. So let's maybe check out this little example application that uses time. Okay, this shows, I guess, what is the current time, so that's not too bad. Okay, so time millis to Posix, that's its current time to something, time UTC. What's our model? It has a time zone and a Posix. I think my chat show time is a bit too aggressive. I probably should increase it a bit more. But Demolition Man says, I don't know about it or not, but in my opinion, you can update node element through Shadow DOM. Yeah, that's exactly what Elm is also doing. Like it keeps a Shadow DOM, and then every time our model updates, it only updates the elements in the DOM that actually changed content. So that's definitely like React does something similar. So in that sense, another way to describe what Elm does is also, it's not just a programming language, it also has basically something like React and Redux baked in. So the state management of your application and re-rendering of the DOM is something that's also included when you start developing Elm applications. All right, so we definitely want to have a subscription that does time every 1000 milliseconds, so we can add this right away. And we also can we only want to listen to that or have this timer interval triggering when we're in the countdown mode. So let's go to our subscription declaration. And we already have a few things here where we're listening to the new Twitch messages coming in via the JavaScript API from the TMI.js library that we introduced 2 episodes ago. So maybe we just call those the message subs, and then we have the countdown sub is case model screen of countdown. Then we want something, we actually have already a timer in here, but we just want a different one for our countdown case. If we're not in the countdown screen, then we don't want this timer to fire off every time. I will just wrap this in an array so that I can easily say message subs plus countdown sub. Let's see, does this compile? It does not, because this is not an array. This should be regular parentheses. Okay, we're compiling again. That means I should also initialize in our countdown mode. Again, but I am. So why did I not refresh? Oh, there we go. That's our timer again. So, and now for the timer, I would say, like, if we're in the countdown, we also want to have the number of total seconds, maybe, that we're that we still have to go until the show starts. So I will add a int parameter to our countdown field. So let's say here we have an int, and now another great example of why I like Elm over JavaScript, because I cannot even execute the program until I've fixed all the errors. So now it tells me, oh, in line 57, I need to take into account that on the countdown screen I have an int as parameter for our application state. So I can just seconds, put it in here. Oh no, that's actually here. It doesn't matter. We don't care about this. And in line 83, that's actually where we're generating our view, where we're defining the markup, the DOM elements that we want to have. Here I actually want to take into account the seconds. So I can replace this static string here with a from int. I have to explicitly convert the integer into a string. So this should be 0 now if that compiled. I'm not sure, Demolition Man, what you're proposing there. What's your question? I have to either import or just canonically reference that. Now it's compiling again. Okay, cool. So now we're initialized and we are getting a function every second. But actually the message, since I copied this time every with the hide, the message or the event that gets fired every 3 seconds, and I also wanted to dial down this to 1 second, is the same message that we use to hide the message overlay. So that's not of use here. So I'll just come up with a new message name, update countdown maybe. So, or maybe we do something as an intermediate step here. I'm just initializing my countdown with 1000, and I have to extend my message type. Where is it defined? Message here with our new type or constructor update countdown. And this gets the current time as a parameter. That's just follows naturally from the fact how we call it, like the the event that gets fired here now every 1000 milliseconds basically declares the signature, or what the update countdown method, we're not in OLand, what the update countdown message like needs as parameter to be constructed. So this time Posix will contain the current time. And if I save that, then again, the Elm compiler will tell us exactly where we have to handle it. Like that's different to Redux, for example. In React and Redux, usually the messages have a event field or something that's usually just a string. And then you just have to make sure that you handle all the different cases of strings of event kinds that are actually getting produced. So it's very easy to miss one here. And in a statically typed language like Elm, the compiler just knows all the variants that our message type can have. And since we added a new variant, it tells us now, hey, the case that is handling this object does not have a branch for all possibilities. The missing possibilities is the update countdown message, and that's exactly the one that we just introduced. So let's jump right into this case statement right here. So we have to add a new branch. What did I call it? Update countdown. And it has a timestamp that I'm going to ignore for now. And but by handing this message, I get the possibility to update our counter. So now I can say screen is now a countdown. Yeah, and now it gets a bit tricky because we don't we want to obviously we want to take or maybe I do handle the time directly. Let's just say for now I'm setting this to -1 hard-coded, just to confirm after it compiles that we actually hit this branch. Does it compile? It compiles again. I'm going to refresh my browser view, so this should first go to 1000, and after 1 second it should go to -1. Boom, success. So that's great. So now what we have to do is we have to interpret this let's call it current time that we get passed in. And that's where I have the most uncertainty for now, because there's all this scary stuff about Posix time in here. Maybe we just go back to the documentation and look into the signature of every. So that's the thing that we are calling basically, where we're saying like every 1000 milliseconds, like use this function that takes a Posix and constructs a message to send this message to our application. So how often? So what is a Posix? A computer representation of time. And this is embarrassing because as a software engineer I should obviously know this, but every software developer hates working with times and dates, or dates are fine. Times is where it gets complicated because of all the time zones. There's a brilliant number file YouTube video on time zones if you want to cringe. That's a recommendation for me to watch. Okay, so it's very hard for humans to read, so we use functions like to hour and to minute. Okay, so that's not too bad. The question is how do you implement this yet? Well, that's what we're going to implement right now. Like Demolition Man is asking, how are we going to actually transform the numbers of minutes and seconds that we're waiting for? So yeah, that's exactly the stuff. I don't know exactly how to do it yet. So I guess my idea is I want to specify a target time. So this should be, let's say, tonight at 8, because that's when I want to be done here to have dinner. So let's say time that should be today 8 p.m. and then, so this is pseudocode that's will not compile. So actually, let's not call it current time. Let's call it just now, because that's what it is. So now, so what I want to do is I want to say target time minus now. That's basically left, what's left, and then I want to have minutes left is something and seconds left is something. I don't care about hours for now, because I will probably not start this countdowns hours in advance. So I'm just so, and then I want to, or maybe actually maybe we do the calculation in the view and we just try to find out the seconds for now, because our model already wants to consume an integer. So I think that's a good intermediate step. So how do we create a Posix? Or can I get to minute to seconds? To minute to second. What second is it? UTC. So this is like the Unix timestamp. Let's see. Let's say, how can I construct a Posix? Can I computer representation? No. Every time zones. I can use this UTC thing. I think that wasn't the example app, right? Where was the example app? What's here in the README, I believe. From into time. Yeah, go here for a little example. So I think I can construct time millis to Posix. Is there a nicer way to construct a time as from a human being? Let's go back to the configuration, or maybe there's actually a nicer package to deal with Posix. Is not supported. Okay, future plans, walkthrough. So maybe we just go to the package root here and search for time. What else? Elm ISO date stream, Elm type time. A typed library, that looks promising. Do they do something with Posix in here? No. Okay, that's interesting. I think that might not be what we want. Type time. Posix. Yeah, no worry. Some battles you have to fight alone. But I'm also not too bummed out. Like, for me, this streaming time on Wednesday evenings is just an opportunity to learn as well. So why are integers better? Yeah. ISO. Okay, here we go. There's some stuff that converts. Okay, so I think I want to add this little library. So I just show you how to add a dependency to an Elm project, which is really straightforward. You just say Elm install, and then this package identifier, I would say, like, which is really, you can copy it from the URL here or just from the documentation page here. So then it asks, like, here's my plan. Those are the packages that I'm going to add to your Elm.json file, which is like if you're coming from Java NPM, then it's your package.json. If you're doing Ruby, then it's your gem file. So that's what in Elm is the the Elm.js. Yeah, Elm is not used widely yet. Widely, that's the word I was looking for. I think they have some. It's a good question. Who uses Elm? I think they have some quick links. I don't know. They have a page where they show who's using. Oh yeah, we can just Google it. Who is using Elm? Ah, see, there we go. So yeah, there are a few production sites that are using Elm. I would say, like it's not Facebook or Amazon, but yeah, I think there are enough projects that prove that this can be used in production. Yeah, it's actually quite long. I mean, not that I can identify something immediately that I recognize, but yeah, worth checking out, I guess. Okay, we added our dependency. I'm just starting my compiler here to watch my source file again. And then let's just see, from time to string, no, to time. I want to have this. Yes, I want to time. And what's the ISO? I can never remember this format. So let's just see. Oh man, I don't like these formats. Okay, let's just grab this one. And let's say our string is today. Is today the 25th? No, it was 24th. And time is 8 o'clock. Okay, now I have to also import this. New function import. What's the name of the library again? ISO quelque chose. ISO exposing to time. Let's just see if this compiles. It compiles, so I think, but this, so let's look at the to time again. Here the signature. To time returns a result list dead end or a time. So, and because it's not guaranteed that we have a string here that's actually ISO string, the result of this function can also be that it just didn't work out to parse this. So we have to handle this. So let's say case to time of and okay time, then we do something, and in any other case we still have to target time, like let's say in seconds. So then we can just say 0 here, and like let's say -2 just to have a value, and then we can to cheaply debug this, we just set this value into our current application state. So that means once we receive the update countdown message, we try to pass this static string, and if it succeeds we should see the value -2, and if it fails we see the value 0. So I'll just refresh this and it goes to -2, so that means it's successfully parsed. So now we have this time value here is a Posix time of that timestamp. So that's great. Now we just need to convert it to seconds. And I believe There was something like 2 seconds in the time package. 2 second. What second is it? But I think that's just the local second between the 0 like of the current minute. So I don't know. Let's see. 2 second time. And we also have to import that, import time. Although actually, yeah, let's just expose this to second. Does it compile? It does not compile because in the first, because we need the time zone. I think that we can just use UTC here. UTC, so that was in line 85. Go there and pass in UTC. 0. Yeah, so that's probably 20. So if I put in 9 here, then I guess if I refresh, then it goes to 9. Did it compile? No, it's still 0. Interesting. Okay, 2 second is, or maybe we use to hour. That should give me 20 at least. To hour, probably should. 2 hour. 15. Okay, where does the 15 come from? 5 seconds? I don't know. Where did you get this, the 5,000, what is it? Ah, okay. Now I see also a problem with my chat overlay here is that I have so many messages now that the new messages are on top and they scroll out of the screen. So Demolition Man has some algorithmic proposals here. Percent instead of, yeah, I mean, I'm not percent instead of slash. I'm not even dividing anything just yet. I don't, plus 9 hours. That's also bullshit. I think I can also just remove, and that's also here as the hour. That should be 20. Okay, let's say 21, 8 p.m., 1 minute and 9 seconds. So if I now do 2 minute, have I imported 2 minute? No, of course not. Let's add it to our import list. 2 minute. 1001. Okay. Yeah, so that's good, right? I said 1. Okay, cool. So that works. So if I do 2 second, refresh, 9. Okay, now we're talking. Okay, so I will do a little let block here to define some local expressions. So we can say minutes is this. I'm just going to copy this. Minutes, hours, seconds. I would say 2 minutes. So it's always the local number. So it gives me the minute of the hour and the second of the minute and so on. And the hour of the day. So now we should have, let's reorder this, hour, 20 minutes, 1 seconds, 9. So now we can calculate the total number of seconds until we hit this time. So let's call it total seconds equals seconds plus the minutes in seconds. So 60 times minutes plus the hours in seconds. So it's 60 minutes times 60 seconds times hours. So now I can say, and I can just return this total seconds. Does it compile? It compiles. So now I don't know what the number is, but it's a couple thousand. Yeah, that sounds like exactly the number of seconds we have left until 8 p.m., which is like 14 minutes. I don't know what is 14 times. Oh no, that's from 0 o'clock until 8 p.m. So now we have to do the same calculation for the current time. Okay, so let's say we just copy this, and current hours, I'll just prefix everything with current because I'm lazy. Oops, one back. Oops, I'm confused here. So instead of making all those calls with time, we're making them now as well with now. So current total seconds, and now we just subtract total, or maybe you call it total target seconds at least, and subtract current total seconds. What did I say? Total target seconds. So yeah, that should be a significantly smaller number now. 0. That's a very small number. How's that? Because here I have to also prefix it everything with current. Insert current, repeat, save, compile, refresh. That's still a very large number, but at least it's getting smaller, so that's a good sign. But what did I say, 14 minutes in seconds is 840, so something is still off there, I guess. Interesting. Hours, current hours, Okay, but before we dive into the bug hunt there, let's just start at formatting these numbers in minutes and seconds again, where we're going to do the inverse math here. So seconds total, let's add another let block and break those down in minutes and seconds. So that means now we get to integer math again. I always forget the operators for that. So let's say minutes equals seconds total, and now it's either 1 or 2 slashes to divide by 60, and seconds is seconds total minus minutes times 60. So now we can reformat our little text here. Maybe do a bit of reindentation, and we just say text from int minutes minutes, or maybe we just construct a array of strings first and then bring them all together. So map text. Oh, we need at least one closing bracket for our div here. So we have our minutes, then we have, I don't know, maybe we actually write minutes and feeling verbose, might delete later, string dot from int seconds, and then a space and seconds. Oh yeah, in front of the minutes we also want a space. So did I mess this up? I probably messed up the formatting. N expect square bracket in 114. Oh, maybe I just have one bracket too many. No. Oh, that's something else. Yeah, the left side of must be a float, but I'm seeing an int. So yeah, for integer division, that's what I meant. Like it's probably the double slashes. So let's go back to line 109 and give it another slash. Now it's compiling again. Let's refresh. 16 minutes. Oh, 1000. That's definitely more minutes than I'm willing to stream tonight. So I think there's still a bug in the calculation of the actual seconds. So let's see now. Actually, I should confirm if now is really now or if it's something else. What was the time? Every get the current time periodically. Yeah, that should do the trick. Let's open this example again. So every whether our subscription every 1000 milliseconds tick, and when tick we have the new time. Time is new time, and then in the view we have model.time. I suspect something around the time zone. Because my time is not UTC here, I guess. My time is, oh god. How do I get the right time zone? Time zones here, UTC here. Oh, okay. So maybe I just use here instead of UTC and that will magically fix it. Where is the UTC? So, or should I use here or there? I don't know. I'm not good with time zones. Refresh this. This is still too much. And if I use here, that doesn't change a thing. That's really weird. So if I just use the total target seconds, that should be the total time, total target seconds for 8 o'clock and 1 minute. So we have 20 hours times 3600. That's how many seconds there are in a. That's a lot more. Then no, that's with minutes. Okay. Maybe I just go back briefly to display the total seconds total, to debug this. Is it not compiling? Ah, it's not compiling. Ah, okay, it hasn't been compiling the whole time. Yeah, I should pay attention to this compiler output. Here? Why does it not like here? Ah, that's to get the subscription. That's a task that gives me, okay. Ah, okay. Ah, they did this in the example as well, right? So maybe I can just grab it from here. Where does the time zone, adjust time zone? Okay, let's do this. I just steal this message entirely. Type message, what was it? Adjust time zone. Duplicate this line here, add another pipe, fix indentation, and I guess that's time.zone. What's the, yeah, it's time.zone exactly, and then we can just grab this block and throw it into our update function here. Is the indentation correct? I don't know. But we also update the zone field on our model, and our model doesn't have that yet, so let's fix that as well. Model dot time zone is Posix dot zone, and then I will have to adjust our initialization function here as well. So time zone equals, I'm just setting this to UTC. And how does he get the new time zone? Adjust, he performs this task at the starting of the app. So we do this just the same. It's nice to have an example that's so concrete for my use case. So does this compile again? It's line 70, it does not. Yeah, there's a dangling arrow. And cannot find Posix.zone. What is the type? Time.zone. Where does Posix.zone doesn't make any sense. Time. Okay, does this compile? Still not task perform, cannot find, so I have to import task. Yeah. Oh, import task. And now we can finally address this place where we're actually using the time zone. Let's call it zone. Oh no, we can just, can we? Yeah, I can just call this like time zone directly. Time zone, same here, that does not work. Change the space. Time zone here as well, and then we just grab well, let's call it model.timezone. That's, it's a bit verbose. Can clean that up later. So, is it finally happy? No, it's still not, because first argument is not what I expect. It wants to have a zone, but I'm giving it something else. And I thought I fixed the init function. Let's check this out again. Where is it? Here. Timezone.utc. Did I not call it timezone? Time.zone. What's the problem? Oh no, it's the update function that it's not happy about, I see. Model zone, yeah, that's true. That should be time zone, that's what I call it. Now it's compiling. Okay, cool. Let's refresh. Boom. And now it's not even changing anymore. I mean, it's less seconds. No, it's still too many minutes. What did I do here? So now back to the question. Let's call this actually here so I can, or just zone, so I can replace that a bit more easily. So my first attempt was to leave the UTC here and change, but I mean ultimately they should both be the same. So maybe I just have to put zone everywhere instead of UTC. And it's a few hundreds minutes less, but still too many. So should I now? I can, what does JavaScript give me? And if I say time dot, what is it? Date, no, new date, or what is it? New date, right? Okay. So if I just say new date, and then maybe there's a D to ISO string, worms. Okay. That's probably the string that I'm getting, or the time that I'm getting, I guess. I can just console log out something. I haven't done that for some time. So let's see what current hours, and yeah, that's a good one. Debug.log just a time and then a tuple of hours and current hours. Is that correct? Compiles. Time 15:20. Okay, so these two are off by 5 hours. So I think this should be UTC for, because I didn't put any time zone in there. 2020, yeah, so that's good. That's the same. Now the question is what have in minutes and current minutes. Does this compile? Yes, it compiles. I'm refreshing. 1 and 4. So 1 is what I expect for minutes. And so seconds, I guess I just for seconds and current seconds. So seconds should be 9. And current seconds should be whatever current second I'm on. So that's not super interesting. 9. And then we have, yeah, that makes sense that this number goes up. But why is the current minute 4? If my new date, Oh, because it's 8:05. That makes sense. So this is actually good. So let's switch it up. Let's say this is actually 9 o'clock. Or let's just say it's in 10 minutes at the 10-minute mark. So that should be like 5 minutes should be. Okay. So maybe it's just my math being off here. Oh, no, I have to subtract. I have to subtract each and then multiply them. So let's break this down. The difference in hours in seconds should, so actually, yeah, that makes a lot. My math is just bad. So let's say current hours minus, target hours minus hours minus current hours. So that should be 0 because it should be 20 minus 20, and then we multiply this times amount seconds per hour, and then we do the same thing for minutes. So we have minutes minus current minutes times 60. And then we finally have seconds minus current seconds. Okay, let's refresh this one. Refresh. And it's still... because this current... Let's just say what total seconds left over. Total seconds left. That's enough. Oh, we can just return this expression directly. Does it compile? It compiles. I feel dinner is coming closer. Yes. So 2 minutes and 11 seconds. There we go. Now I just want to know, can I refresh my overlay? Why does my overlay not refresh? Because I killed my watcher. Okay. Okay, let's go back here. I'm refreshing my overlay. And there we have it. A nice, maybe I make the background black so that you don't see the video. In my index HTML, what did I say? Countdown, background, color, black, font size, 100 pixels, and refresh. Boom! Isn't that beautiful? All right, so I'm very happy that I reached my goal just for dinner time. Thanks for staying with me. I'll share a recording of this of the stream on YouTube, where you can also see the other recordings of my previous streams. And yeah, thanks for staying with me, and hope to see you next time. Bye bye.